Hey Divination, thank you for joining us in this live stream. Today we will show you how to mark a new section using subtle motion dividers. And if you're non-elegant themes member yet, make sure that you check out one of the links in the description below where you can discover everything for yourself. And without any further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so let's start off by taking a quick look at the outcome that we'll recreate. So we're using the art gallery layout pack, and you can find that layout pack by going to elegantthemes.com/layouts, and over here, if you type in art gallery, you will find all of the layouts that you can use. We're using the landing page layout, and we're basically using this layout to create the outcome of our desires. So we'll show you how to mark a new section using Divi and the new scroll effects, and we'll add motion to the shapes that we add, so they're subtle motions. And let's take a quick look at the outcome, what you can expect within this tutorial. So over here I have my landing page going on. Now if I scroll down, I can see two dividers appear, and as I scroll further down, these increase in size and go sideways. And the opposite counts for when you're scrolling up. So this is the first outcome that we'll achieve. And then we have two other examples which we'll handle as well. Let's take a look at the second one. So over here we have the second one. We have these circles that go sideways. And you can place these wherever you want to mark the beginning of a new section. Let's take a look at the last one as well. So over here we have a few squares, and these go sideways as well. So this is the third example that we'll recreate, and let me just check the comments really quick to see if you guys are joining in before we get any further. I just want to say hi to everyone. I see a few people have joined in. Someone says, bummed I missed the beginning of this, and we're just getting started, so you should be able to follow along, but you can also watch it afterwards as well. And I also want to mention that you can find a link to the blog post in the description below, and there you can follow everything step by step as well. See Uncle Social joining in, and Rukesh as well. And if you guys have any questions in the meantime, feel free to leave them on Facebook or on YouTube. So let's get started. First of all, you'll need a landing page. I have one in place over here without the subtle motion shapes, and I'm just going to enable the Divi Builder. Alright, so I'm here, and now the first thing I'm going to do is go through some general steps on creating the wireframe, so the container for the dividers that we'll use, so the motion shapes, and we'll place them in a one column row. And usually when you want to add these to a section of your choice, you'll find yourself adding them to the bottom of that section. So I'm just going to add a one column row over here to the bottom of my hero section. Now, without adding any modules yet, I'm going to open the row settings, and I'll go to the sizing settings over here, and I'm going to enable use custom gutter width, put that to 1, and I'm also going to increase the width and max width to 100%. So this will just allow us to have a row that takes up the entire width of the section container, and in this case the entire screen. Alright, next up we're going to modify the spacing values, and over here in the spacing settings I'm going to add 10 VW to the top margin just to create a bit of space between the content and this new row. And I'm also going to add 0 pixels to both top and bottom padding to remove all space that's already there. So there's by default a row contains default top and bottom padding, and you can remove that by just adding 0 pixels to both options. Now this is where our row is currently at, and we want to place it at the bottom. So we'll just need to get rid of the bottom padding of our section. So I'll just open the section settings over here and unlink these two options and put 0. So this will get rid of the space between the section container and the row. So as you can notice over now, the row is touching the bottom of our section. Now, these are the general steps that you'll need to take. And after you have this row in place, you can reuse it. You can save it to your Divi library to recreate the other examples. Now we're going to handle the different examples that we've shown you. So the first one is this one over here. And let me just take a quick look at the comments just to see if there's any questions so far. I don't see any, so I'm assuming you guys are following along. Let's continue. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do to recreate this example, so the first one is add a new divider module to my row. And I also want to point out that there's a blog post that goes with this live stream, so with this video, which you can find in the description below. So you can click on that and you can find all of the color codes and all of the settings there as well. So if you want to go through that blog post step by step and recreate it, you can do that easily. And you can also find the JSON files, which you are able to download for free and use on your website. All right, so I have the first divider module in place over here. I'm going to make sure that the show divider option is enabled. Then I'm going to go to the advanced tab and I'm going to change the line color to match with the art gallery landing page layout, which I'm using. But again, you're free to tweak all of these settings as you wish. Later on, this example will show you how to add the scroll effects to achieve that kind of result where the dividers go sideways. So you can use that for any kind of shape you want, really. So over here, I'm going to modify the divider weight to 50 pixels. And I'll also set a height of 50 pixels as well. Then I'll go to the spacing settings. And over here, I'm just going to grab those spacing settings really quick. So we have some left and right margin on smaller screen sizes. So on desktop, we don't need any, but if we want to have a more permanent effect on tablet and phone, we'll need to add some negative left and right margins to 200 pixels for both options, and we'll also add a bit of padding, so 15 VW for the left and the right padding over here. And we're also going to add a transformation to it. So we'll use skew over here, and we'll only add it to the bottom over here. So we'll use 60 degrees, and you can already see it change its shape. And now we can add the scroll effects. So let me just show you guys the different ones we're using. So we're using horizontal motion, and for that we're using 0 for the starting offset, 0 for the mid offset, and 20 for the ending offset. The mid offset goes at 80% and 85% for the ending offset. So you can read this off the screen. And we're changing this value on smaller screen sizes. So it's not 20, but 5, and that will just fine-tune the animation for the smaller screen sizes and allow it to go sideways without going too fast or anything like that. All right, so the next one we're adding is a fading in and out effect, and you'll need to enable this option over here. The starting opacity goes at 0%. We'll use 0% for the mid opacity as well. We'll put that at 36% and 100% for the ending opacity, and we'll place that at 40%. And last but not least, we also have an enable scaling up and down scroll effect. So you can notice as I'm scrolling over here, You can see it increase in size. And to add that effect, we're using 20% for the starting scale, 50% for the mid scale at 69%, and 100% for the ending scale at 73%. So we have the first part of our example in place. And now that we have this, we can simply clone it and make some changes to the second element. So once you've cloned it, you can open the settings and then go to the design tab and change the line color into the following color code. We'll also go to the spacing settings and we'll increase the left and right padding to 25 VW. Then we'll go to the advanced tab, to the scroll effects, and if we want it to go the other way, so if I scroll down now, they go to the right, both of them, and we want this second divider module to go to the left side. That's why we're using another value over here in the horizontal motion scroll settings. So we'll use -20 instead of 20, and on smaller screen sizes, we'll use -5 instead of 5. All right, so this is our first example. So those were the changes that you needed to make. Let me just save this and exit the Visual Builder. So here we have the first example. Now we can move on to the second one. Before we do that, I'm just going to check really quick to see if there's any questions. So someone says, remember to launch an art course, how to make beautiful design. Well, you can definitely find a ton of resources on the Elegant Themes blog, as well as the YouTube channel and on Facebook and all that. So definitely check those out. Maybe we'll do that in the future with Elegant Themes. But for now, we're focusing on creating as many good tutorials for you guys to follow as we can. All right, so on to the second example. Let me just remove those two divider modules that I added for the previous example, so we can focus on the next one, which is the following one. So we have two circles that pass each other while going sideways. So this is the result we're aiming to achieve. And for that, we'll also need divider modules. So we'll add the first one, and we're going to transform it kind of into a circle as we go. So over here in the visibility settings, we want to make sure that the show divider option is enabled. Then we'll go to the advanced tab, and we'll change the color of our divider into the following color code. Again, this matches the art gallery layout pack really well, but you are free to change around the colors and the size and the shape of the divider modules you're using. But if you want to achieve that kind of scroll effect, just make sure that you use the settings that were shared with you throughout this tutorial or in the blog post below. So you can always access all of these settings there as well. All right, so then we'll go to the sizing options over here, and we're going to increase the divider weight to 200 pixels. We'll use 200 pixels for the width as well, along with 200 pixels for the height. This is picking up on the previous divider module, so let me just exit really quick and enable the Divi Builder again. It's probably some cache issues. All right, let's So here it's looking as it should. All right, let me just open the settings of this module over here. And I'll go to the border settings. So to turn this into a circle, I'm gonna use some rounded corners, and I'll just add 100 pixels. That will do to turn the divider module into a circle. And now I can turn on the scroll effects that I need. So let me just grab those and go through them with you guys. Also important is to make sure that the alignment is set to middle over here, so it comes in the middle of the section. All right, now let's take a look at the scroll effects. So we're using 2 of them. So if I scroll down, you can see the effect happening in real time. It goes to the right. And the first scroll effect we're using is horizontal motion. So we're using -2 for the starting offset, 0 for the mid offset at 50%, and 20 for the ending offset. And this value changes for tablet and phone. So instead of 20, we're using 5 again to match with the screen size. And then we'll also use a scaling up and down effect. So make sure that you enable this. Then add 20 pixels to the starting scale, 20%, excuse me, for the starting scale, 100% for the mid scale at 50%, and 100% for the ending scale. So once you have the first shape in place, you can clone it. Open its settings. We'll start off by modifying the color of our shape in the design tab over here. We'll also add some negative top margin to create that effect over here where they're placed next to each other. And the negative top margin that we're adding is the same as the size, so the height of our divider module, which is -200%. And as you can see right now, they are merged together. What we need to do is modify the scroll effects so they both take their own course. For that, I'll go to the Advanced tab, and over here, I'm going to modify the ending offset to -20. And I'm also going to modify the starting offset to 2. And this will become -5 on tablet and phone. So this is our second example. Let me just exit the Visual Builder so I can give you guys a preview. Here we have our second example. Again, you can find all of the steps in the blog post as well, which I have mentioned in the description below. And now we can move on to the third example, the third and the last one. And over here we have these squares. And as we scroll down, they go sideways. Again, I'm going to remove those divider modules that I've added. I'll also take a look to see if you guys have any questions. So Nick Real is asking, this can be done with any graphics or logos? It definitely can. In this tutorial, we're showing you how to take Divi's built-in options and create a shape out of them and add the scroll effects, but you can easily use image modules with whatever kind of image you have there or logo and create your own unique design with it. So I definitely recommend doing that. You can definitely get really creative and create stunning design by experimenting, right? So let's move on to the third and last one, which was again the following one. I'm going to remove both divider modules that are already there, so we can start with a clean slate. So first of all, I'm going to open the row settings over here. Because these rotate, as you can notice, they rotate as we scroll. We'll need a bit more space in our row. That's why we're adding some top and bottom padding, so that will just make sure that nothing overlaps our shapes. We're using 50 pixels for the top and the bottom padding for that. And then we can add our first divider module. So for this particular example, we're going to hide the show divider option over here. So we'll just use the container for its settings, and that will make more sense later on when we add the spacing and give our module a shape. So over here, we're going to add a gradient background color. So it's a really subtle one. If you can notice over here, we're just using 2 types of orange. And that's just another possibility that you have if you just want to use the container without actually using a divider along with it. So let me just use these settings over here. These are the 2 color codes that we're using, and I'm also changing the gradient direction to 121 degrees. Now let me just exit really quick so the previous dividers don't affect the design I'm creating. Alright, so I'm gonna reopen my divider module over here. Go to the design tab, to the sizing settings. I'm gonna use a width of 200 pixels. And I'll place my module in the center. And I'm also going to add some top and bottom padding to create the shape of my desire. So we're using 200 pixels in the height and 200 pixels in the width. And now we can add the scroll effects to the first divider module. Let me grab those really quick so I don't have to bore you guys by entering the values manually. And then we can go through them together. All right. So the first scroll effect we're using is horizontal motion. So make sure that you enable the horizontal motion option over here. And we'll use -1 for the starting offset at 30%, 0 for the mid offset at 50%, and 20 for the ending offset. And this value over here, the 20, will change for smaller screen sizes. So on tablet and phone, it is 5 instead of 20. And then we'll also add a rotating scroll effect. So again, we're enabling this option, and we're using 0 degrees at 46%, 50 degrees for the mid rotation at 75%, and 90 degrees for the ending rotation at 100%. Now that we have the first one, let me just scroll for you guys to see it. We can clone it entirely and make some changes to the duplicate. So I'm just going to change the gradient background colors over here in the settings. The first color code is this one, and then we have a second color code, which is the following. And as you can notice over here, they don't quite overlap at first sight, but we're using some negative top margin to place them kind of together. And now they're still going the same way, so we want to change that in the Advanced tab. Over here, we'll change this starting offset to 1, so they appear next to each other, as you can see right now. And we'll also use -20 for the ending offset. And for tablet and phone, that's going to be -5, so the exact opposite direction. And that's the only changes you need to make to the duplicate. Let's exit the Visual Builder and look at the third example as well. Here we go. So once you have one of these rows in place, you can easily reuse them for other sections. Just make sure that you place them at the bottom of your section. And I didn't show you guys how they look on smaller screen sizes as well, so let me just do that really quick and see if you guys have any more questions. It seems like you don't on YouTube, so if you have any questions, now's the time. Don't be shy, ask right away, and I'll be happy to give an answer if I have an answer, of course. So over here we have the mobile version of the first example. Let's take a look at the second one as well. So over here we have the second example on smaller screen sizes. And let's take a final look at the last example, which we recreated, and what it looks like on smaller screen sizes. So again, very similar. These effects look almost the same across all screen sizes. The size is just a bit bigger on smaller screen sizes. So I'll just take one final look to see if you guys have any questions. And I was just about to ask for a preview on smaller screen sizes, says Uncle Social. So here you go. There you have them. Happy I remembered to show you guys. So I don't see any more questions. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and all of the freebies and the tutorials that come with Divi. Make sure to check out Elegant Themes if you're not an Elegant Themes member yet. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.